Welcome to tutorial number 3 for Adobe Premiere Pro. We're going to look at exporting your finished movie, and then we're also going to take a look at uploading your movie to YouTube in the second part. So we've got our finished movie. We're happy with the way it looks. It plays back well. It has all of the elements that we wanted to include in the movie, and we're happy and ready to go. So there's a couple of things that you need to make sure that you do before you start the exporting process. So first of all, you need to take a look here in your timeline. There's this bar that runs across the very top part of the timeline. You can see, and it's got some handles on it here, and you can move it back and forth. This is called your work area, and it's very important before you start to export your movie that you move that work area bar so that it covers the entire length of your movie, because if you don't do that and you say you leave it like this where it's only got a couple of seconds here, then what will happen when you export your movie is it will actually only give you that clip of the movie. This can be handy if you're doing a test export. You want to see what your finished movie will look like once it's exported out of Premiere. But it's not a good thing if you want to actually export the whole thing. So you need to move this work area bar right so it stretches all the way across the top there. The other thing that you need to do is you need to take a look at this line along here. It's either going to appear to be red or green. If it's appearing to be red, what that means is that your movie is not yet rendered. And rendering basically lays out each frame of the movie and makes sure that everything is working the way it needs to be, that all the effects are showing up and running smooth on your video. So before you export your movie, you should always take a second and make sure that you actually render that movie so that it can make sure that it plays smoothly. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. The one thing you can do is you can hit the return key to render your effects, or you can just go to sequence and go either render effects in work area, which will just render the effects, takes a little bit less time, or render entire work area. I'm going to click render entire work area. Sometimes this process can take a little bit of time. Other times it can actually go fairly quickly. It really just depends on how complex the effects in your video are, and like how much animation or motion you have, how many actual effects that you have. In quite a long piece, it can take sometimes a few hours to render everything completely. But for a short piece like this, as you can see, it's only going to take a few seconds. Now my movie is completely rendered. I can see I've got this green bar all the way across. It means that all of my effects, everything's laid down, going to be nice and smooth in the transitions. And when I export it, it'll all look exactly the way I want it to. So now we're ready to export. So we're going to go to the File menu, and we're going to go all the way down here to where it says Export. And we're going to use this menu item here called Media. You can also use Control M on your keyboard, and that will also bring up the export window as well. So Export Media takes just a second, and the export settings window comes up. And you see we have a whole bunch of different settings here. We're not going to worry about every single thing today. What we are going to worry about is just the format and the preset. Adobe Premiere has some nice little presets that let you export in exactly a format that's required for things like YouTube, and it will automatically set all the settings the way it needs to be optimized for performance on YouTube. So that's a really handy thing. It could be a good way to quickly export something. You just want to make sure that if you are going to use the YouTube exporting preset, that you have selected the H.264 format setting, and then in the preset you'll get all of these options, but you'll also get the YouTube widescreen HD, YouTube widescreen SD, and YouTube SD. HD stands for high definition, SD stands for standard definition, and then there's the non-widescreen version. So we're actually going to go with the YouTube widescreen SD for the purposes of this video. and again the format is H.264. We're going to make sure that we are exporting our video and our audio. You can just export only audio or only video, but in this case we don't want to do that. Everything else right now you can leave that all in the default settings. You see here that the output name is going to be flower sequence _1. And if I highlight over that, you see the little tooltip that comes up, and it will say that it is going to, in fact, export to my desktop. So I'll know inside of my slideshow folder, so I'll know where it is going to end up when it exports. I'm going to click on the export button. And again, this can sometimes take a few minutes depending on the complexity and the length of your video, but again, this is a very short video, so it will only take a few seconds for the entire export to happen. Okay, so our export is finished, and once we're done with the export, we can actually hide or minimize Premiere, and then we'll go over to our desktop where our project folder is located. We'll open that up, and we'll see that we've got flower sequence _1. That is our exported video. So if we open this up, we'll just use a QuickTime Player to open this up, and when we play it back, we'll see there's our video. Okay, so now that we've got our video exported, it's in the MP4 format, and it's actually ready to go to be uploaded now to YouTube or distributed however we would like to distribute it to the viewers. So in the next part of this tutorial, we are going to learn how to upload our video to YouTube.